Markus, what else? Most touchdowns as a freshman. Longest rushing yard from scrimmage as for a quarterback. What else?
You're eating into our 2 minutes here.
He's freaking awesome. Gosh, dog. He's only won 10 games, oh, poor guy. Let's fire him. All right, let's go.
Impressions of the Beavers, what do you see? What kind of
Gosh,
offense are they going to
I always think Mike Riley does a great job. I really do. It's not lip speak. It's not coach speak. It's not because it's the right thing to say. I think has a good offensive mind. And with those two receivers, 7 and 2, I hope I have the numbers right, but I know who they are, I guarantee you. Those two receivers going down the field, and both quarterbacks have played well, and they're running the ball better than they have. I wish I could sit here and tell you that not many worries, not many concerns, but we got our work cut out for us because they remind me of an SC down the field throwing team, and last time I checked, we didn't do really well in that one, but that's past history. But you know, I'm a realist. We're gonna have to cover those receivers and stop the run.
I've been making that comparison already. I mean, how do those two receivers and the way they throw it and the way they stress you down the field, does it compare at all to the way USC goes about trying to stress you?
I actually think these guys stretch you down the field more. I really do. They really try to get the ball down the field, and they have, like I said, and they have other receivers too, but these two guys are something special. I'm impressed. I see Wheaton's going to be playing on Sundays, and the other kid will be playing someday on Sundays, and both quarterbacks throw the ball well. And like I said, they have a couple backs that are playing well now. I never know anybody's name. I think one's Ward, one's Woods. I don't mean any offense to those guys when I say it. 24, 28 numbers I see. Tight ends, they usually, as they say in the British Open, they're very useful. Their tight ends are useful. Don't they say that?
Oh, yeah.
Useful.
Riley's took over play calling this year. For them, you notice a difference? Or is there any trend there? Again, differences that
you know, I not really.
I mean, I thought they always did a good job of calling the plays. Kind of takes a little pressure off the offensive coordinator. That's kind of a good deal. But that's tongue-in-cheek, by the way. But Riley does a great job.
We got to test. Because this team comes the closest to, in my opinion, offensively, with SC's explosion, than any other team we've played. Because they run the ball well enough, and they have a lot of formations, and those two receivers are really good.
Brian and Avery talked about the fact that after the USC game, they felt like they weren't deep enough. Is that one of the adjustments you try to make going into this game? Is that one of the lessons you take from the USC game?
Yeah, I was hoping we would learn that lesson. It's better to learn a lesson before you make the mistake than after you make the mistake. But you're exactly right. All week, if you're the deepest man, you want to be deep enough that you're coming downhill. You're coming downhill on balls, or you're over the top, taking a good angle to the sideline, not where you're still having to retreat some to try to make a play on a deep ball. The deepest man, whoever that is, and whatever coverage you have, yeah. So the kids have been awesome. I thought they did a great job last week. Last week's over, but we talked last week about the hard ball running and having to have our eyes right for play action. I would say that it's past history, but they did a good job of that. They did what we asked them to do last week. It'll be exciting. Both teams are playing pretty good. Both teams have good records. And it's the Civil War. So we'll see what happens. I'll answer questions.
What makes their rush offense so much better this year? I mean, last year they weren't able to run the ball really at all. What makes it so much better this year?
Well, the first thing they do, and it's kind of, you're not going to like the answer, is they actually try to rush it. So I just think the backs are playing better, probably more experienced in knowing the blocking, schemes and where the holes are going to be, and probably their line is better. It's hard for me to ever assess that off of film. And they've added a few wrinkles in their run game, so it's an impressive offense. I think I've said this 3 times already. We got our work cut out for us, and that's not because I want to, make an excuse or let you know what it's going to be like.
I tell you the truth, they're good.
How about the development of Sean Manning from last year's redshirt freshman now, second season starting?
Well, he's probably better, but I don't see a guy getting worse. So he's at least the same. You know, he's had some good games and he had, you know, some bad games. Obviously, they benched him because of the injury, and then they benched him a little bit when Voss came in and did some good things. So he's a year older. They're playing at home, so it won't be as loud when he's on offense. He was a freshman last year. He's better.
You got leaders on your team that want to play. What have some of the seniors said to this team to re-energize and refocus and really come in and, you know, go 100%?
You know, I haven't really heard any of those guys because they don't say it out there.
Right.
But I have heard them, you know, encouraging each other and said, hey, we'll be back. And I don't think there's any letdown if that, you know, about last week's game. I told them that they could mourn. When we met Monday, I said, okay, you had Saturday and Sunday. It was like 8 in the morning. I said, okay, the morning you have 10 more seconds. I said, okay, the meeting starts. Done. I think they've done a good job of focusing on the new task, and our senior leadership has been great all year. Dion, Clay, Alonzo, and guys like Avery Patterson are stepping up and leading. Avery's doing a good job even if he's not playing. Brian Jackson, and a lot of the D linemen. So we have a lot of leadership.
You said after the game that Monday might feel a little different. Did it feel a lot different?
Yeah, when you lose it feels different. You know, it just, you know that you're going to go into Monday having to try to make sure the kids are okay. You know, that's what it's all about. It's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Johnnies and Joes. And so when you go in Monday and they come after, and that was a tough loss. That wasn't like, sometimes when you beat 45-10, you got your butt kicked, but and it's a bad loss, but it's not a tough loss. That was a tough loss because there were so many plays in that game in all phases that just if one little thing went our way, we probably win. Now we didn't, but you know, you guys have seen the obvious. I mean, there's no blame anywhere. There's just about 3 or 4 plays that if, you know, we almost get a fumble recovery in overtime. I mean, I'm surprised they're even throwing the ball, but they did. We punch it out. If we get that, you know, that's one of them. The long run for a touchdown. If the young man sees the guy, all they have to do is stop, stand in front of him, we get a touchdown. So I forgot what the real question was, but I just got going. So anyway, I'm getting older.
What do you like most about it? I mean, you've been in a lot of these Civil Wars. What do you like most about it?
I like most when we play here at home. You know, I like competition, and the last 3 or 4 Civil Wars have had a lot on them. Last year's, they didn't have much on it for them, as I recall. But there was 2 or 3 years where we were playing for either the Pac-10, 10, 12, 8. I've been here since it was 8, so I apologize if I say the wrong number. I won't be here for 14, though, okay? Just so you know.
You never know.
The question was, again, the rivalry. What do I like about it? I like the competition. I think both teams are playing at a high level right now, and so that makes it exciting. We're playing for something. You know, it's meaningful. It's got a lot of meaning. I mean, they could be 10-2, and we could be either 11-1 or 10-2.
I know you guys try to preach every game the same, but at least from the atmosphere, the energy, do you feel the extra juice?
Not really. I mean, before I used to think we used to really talk about the Civil War. I don't think we do that as much anymore. I think you're talking to an older guy that's been through about 25 of those or something like that. So it's still the Civil War to me, but the preparation isn't any different. And I don't want to talk, you know, against what Coach Kelly preaches. But you know, when you've been around a long time, it's still there's some civil war to it. Doesn't mean we should play any better or play any harder or play any different. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm hoping we play the same every time we play. You know, it's not like we're going to light our hair on fire on Saturday and, you know, do something different before we play the game. I'm hoping we have the same routine and we play just as hard, because if we didn't play as hard the other 11 games, then you know, those weren't very meaningful. They all should mean the same.